Chapter 45. Full River Red. Jimmy left in a hurry, and as he departed, Hiroshi clearly saw that Jimmy's legs were trembling. Hiroshi smiled, turned around, and headed back towards the fish pond. He wasn't worried that Jimmy would betray or report him. Clearly, the benefits Jimmy gained from cooperating with him outweighed any other considerations. He could help his own younger brother seek revenge and take away the grain looted by those bandits as spoils of war. Two birds with one stone. Only a fool would pass up such benefits to report Hiroshi for illegal possession of firearms. Busy times always passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was already 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Hiroshi arrived at the livestock shed and found that the young animals had all matured completely. They looked fat and healthy, with glossy fur compared to ordinary livestock. They finally matured before dinner. Hiroshi gleefully picked up 2 fat chickens and said, "You guys have bad luck tonight because I feel like having chicken soup." As if anticipating the crisis, the 2 fat chickens struggled desperately. But Hiroshi carried them to the water pipe, and with a swift motion, he ended their short lives. Next, Hiroshi skillfully bled them, plucked their feathers, cleaned out their innards, and once both chickens were cleaned, he stepped into the kitchen and placed a sand pot, which hadn't been used for a long time, on the stove. "Big brother, how about chicken soup tonight?" Kiko trotted over, her eyes sparkling. "Do you like it?" Hiroshi skillfully added water to the sand pot. Once it boiled, he added shredded ginger and scallions, and finally, the cleaned whole chickens before covering it. Kiko nodded vigorously. "And add some mushrooms. It'll taste even better." "I almost forgot." Hiroshi slapped his forehead. Chicken soup with mushrooms is indeed a perfect match. With that, Hiroshi took out a few mushrooms, washed them, and waited until the chicken was thoroughly cooked before adding them. Everything was ready. Hiroshi sat on the sofa, turned on the TV, and prepared to watch the news. Kiko also came over and nestled into Hiroshi's embrace. "Kiko, what did you learn today?" Hiroshi tousled Kiko's hair and asked with a smile. "A lot. There was math, ancient poetry, moral education." Kiko counted on her fingers, saying, "But I liked the ancient poems the most. I really liked Chinese class." "You enjoy reciting poems?" Hiroshi pretended to be surprised, then smiled and said, "How about reciting one for me?" "Okay." Kiko nodded crisply. At the same time, the TV began broadcasting the news. As Hiroshi expected, the news at this moment was exclusively about the illegal harassment of the Dragon Federation's borders by the EU fleet. The screen showed a vast expanse of sea. EU fleets, flying the flag of the White Eagle, were arrayed in the picture. The soldiers with blonde hair and blue eyes stared at the Dragon Federation's warships with fierce determination. The cannons of those warships gleamed brightly, and EU fighter jets circled in the sky, seemingly exerting pressure on the Dragon Federation. On the screen, the host said, "As of 5:20 this afternoon, the EU has not withdrawn its fleet, which has illegally harassed our federal waters. So far, the federal government has mobilized more than 20 divisions, including the 3rd and 4th Army Groups, to deploy along the coastline. General Hawk of the 3rd Army Group will meet with EU representatives tonight to resolve this issue peacefully. However, we are also prepared to face any outcome. As always, the Dragon Federation will not initiate war with any country, but we will never fear war with any country." The host's passionate voice came through the TV. The scene shifted to the Dragon Federation's armored warships and their orderly military formation, resembling the backbone supporting the nation. At the same time, Kiko's ethereal voice rang out. "Furiously brushing off my hat, I stand by the rail, the drizzle having just stopped." It was Yufei's Full River Red, perfectly matching the current TV scene. The sky on the border was gloomy, as if a torrential rain was about to pour down. Yet the faces of those soldiers remained resolute, glaring angrily at the enemy. Lifting my eyes, I howl at the sky, my spirit fierce. 30 feats and names lie in dust, 8,000 miles of clouds and moon. Do not wait idly by, my head grown white in youth, empty sorrow. These soldiers now on the border, they rushed from the Federation's territory to the border, covered in dust and grime. Not just 8,000 miles? Perhaps they hadn't rested all night. Their bodies may now be tired, but their spirits were extremely high. To be a soldier, what is it for? Isn't it to protect the country, to gain fame before and after death? These soldiers, they train day and night, never relaxed. They won't be empty sorrowful, because they have an extremely heavy mission on their shoulders. On the TV screen, the EU spokesperson's incessant remarks were filled with threats, from chip blockades to oil cooperation, repeating over and over again, expressing only one central idea. If the China did not acknowledge union would accept even further. Hearing these words, the eyes of the border warriors blazed with fury. They wished they could raise their guns right then and there and unleash their wrath on those shameless faces across the line. Ever since the Federation was founded 80 years ago, it had been relentlessly suppressed by the European Union. Once, a Federation weapons expert wanted to return to his homeland, but the EU obstructed him at every turn, even resorting to assassination attempts. They were determined to prevent him from returning to the Federation, even if it meant his death. It took the lives of nearly 1,000 brave soldiers for the Federation to finally protect this expert and bring him back home. Such incidents were numerous and well-known worldwide. The EU feared the Federation's rise, terrified of the Federation's potential. This was the humiliation that once belonged to the Dragon Federation. Strongly we crave to feast on barbarian flesh, Hiroshi softly recited alongside Henin, feeling a growing fire in his chest that he could hardly contain. At the same time, General Hawk, representing the Dragon Federation army, stepped onto the stage. He calmly glanced at the EU representatives and began. I heard Mr. Charles say a lot just now. I think much of it made sense. My response is simple, just 2 or 3 sentences. Thirstily we drink the blood of the Huns, Hiroshi murmured, eyes fixed on the TV screen. The Federation today is not the Federation of 80 years ago, General Hawk said, staring directly at Charles. If you want a fight, then a fight it shall be. Simultaneously on the coastline, 100,000 soldiers shouted in unison, their voices reaching the skies. If you want a fight, then a fight it shall be. Let us recover our lost mountains and rivers and make our way to the heavenly palace. Hiroshi stood up, his gaze firm and resolute. Charles was stunned. At that moment, the whole world erupted.